Okay, so by now everybody has heard about the CDC research that was done, that black men are going around using that as their saving grace to prove to everybody that they are excellent fathers and they are the most involved fathers of any other demographic, boo boo. So you know your girl is going to always come with receipts and give you a piece of my mind. So I found the original report and we're going to have a look over what they used to determine that black men were the most involved fathers of any other demographic. So let's get started. So this is the original article that we have right here. And you can see the article was put out on December 30th of 2013, which was roughly 10 years ago. So you can see the CDC down here, and it says National Health Statistic reports fathers' involvement with their children, United States. So they basically collected data from 2006 to 2010. So let's zoom in and see what the fuck was actually said, because you know these people they're pathological liars, and any glimpse of spotlight that they get in a positive light, they're going to try and show everybody their highlight reels, and they're going to show everybody our failure reels. So let's see what this report actually said. So this is the abstract of the report, and it says that the objective of the report was to measure fathers' involvement with their children. Fathers' involvement show how often men participated in a set of activities in the last 4 weeks with children who were living with them, age 0 to 4, and children age 5 to 18. Increased involvement of fathers in their children's lives has been associated with range of positive outcomes for their children. So we already know it's a lie, or something is going on with the studies to begin with, because just look at the black community. But let's continue. So it says the method that they used to collect the data. Now, this is where it gets interesting. It says the analysis presented in this report are based on a nationally representative sample of 10,403 men aged 15 to 44 years old in a household population of the United States. The father involvement measures are based on 2,200 fathers of children under age 5, 1,790 who lived with their children, and 410 who lived apart from their children, and on 3,166 fathers of children aged 5 to 19, 2,091 who lived with their children, and 1,075 who lived apart from their children. So that's the first thing. So it said that the sample size was taken from 10,000 men. It didn't say it was taken from 10,000 black men. So I would say, considering that this study consists of black men, white men, and Hispanic men, let's just cut it down in three halves and just say, so this sample size was about 3,000 men. Now they're on here saying that only 2.9 million of them are fathers to begin with. So only 3,000 of them are actually engaged according to this study. But of course, they don't tell you that when they're on here telling you, oh, we the most involved fathers. So then it says men were asked about activities they did with their co-residential and with their non-residential children for two broad age groups: preschool age children under 5 and school age children age 5 to 18, in order to ask age appropriate questions. The questions and activities that a man engaged in with his children were summary measures asked generally about all of his co-residential and all of his non-residential children in the age groups. So you guys can pause to read the rest of this. I just want you to understand what the gist of what this data was and what they were asking these men, and how black men came to be the most involved fathers. So these were some of the tasks that they asked the men, that they graded them on to determine their involvement. Like, how often did you bathe, dress, or use the toilet themselves? How often did you play with the children? How often did you read to them? How often were you talking to the children about things that happened during their day, eating meals together, helping the children with homework, taking the children to and from activities? And then men were asked how frequently they did each activity in the last 4 weeks. They were given a show card and asked to select one of the following options: not at all, less than 1 week, about once a week, several times a week, every day, at least once a day. So then these were the results. It said variation by Hispanic origin and race was seen of the percentages. Specifically, Hispanic fathers were less likely to eat meals with their children every day, which was 64%, than non-Hispanic white, 74%, Black. So this is where they're gloating about, oh, we the most involved fathers because they sat down and ate dinner with their kids. Now, this is where it gets interesting. It says that a large percentage of older fathers had not played with their non-residential children compared with the younger fathers, 47% of fathers aged 35 to 44 and 40% of fathers aged 25 to 34 had not played with their children at all in the last 4 weeks. This compares with 22% of fathers aged 15 to 24. Now, I thought this was interesting because, most older men prefer to date younger women. And this study is saying that those older men who are marrying these younger women and getting them pregnant are not involved or engaged fathers. So they're literally just becoming fathers and are acting more as nannies than fathers. And then here it says a higher percentage of Hispanic fathers aged 15 to 44, 50%, had not played with the non-residential children in the last 4 weeks, compared with white, 30%, and Blacks, 25%. So that's another thing that they're saying, oh, I played with my kids more than 4 times a week. So this makes me an engaged father, one of the best fathers in the world. And then it says the differences by age that were found suggest that older fathers may be less involved than fathers aged 15 to 44 in their children's lives, especially fathers with non-co-residential children aged 0 to 4. If we scroll down here, it says, for example, like right here, for example, if a man lived with a 6-month-old baby and a 3-year-old child, and he spent more time with the child than the baby, it is not possible to know where he averaged the same time spent with each child or answered the questions in regards to just one. So that's the data. They played with their kids, they ate a meal with them, and maybe had a conversation with them. And based off the data, being that it's over 20 million Black men and they only surveyed about 3,000 of them, then that means that about 0.15% of Black men was surveyed. So that is why, as a chemist, I have an issue with people regurgitating stats and they're not looking into the context. They're not looking into sample size. They're not looking at the details of why. They don't look at the why behind the data that they regurgitate. And instead, you'll see shit like this. You'll see the highlight reel of it. CDC reports fathers, Black dads are the most involved. Woo! But they're not going to tell you in this report or this article that 0.015% of Black fathers were surveyed. And they basically got a gold star, a participation trophy for playing with their children, maybe reading them a book, and some other bullshit. So I'm like, no, you're not getting off this easy. We're going to break down what the fuck was actually said in that study. So the next time you see them saying that, just politely, ask them, then if that is really the case, then why are they constantly blaming Black mothers for everything that's wrong in the Black community? So this is their spiel. They blame Black mothers for everything that's wrong in the Black community. But they're also the most involved fathers, but then they're also the most fatherless men. So all three are true based off what conversation you're holding with them. They pull up which stat is going to fit whichever narrative based off the conversation that you're having. So all of it is bullshit. It's absolutely ridiculous. And instead of them just doing better, they rather post a bunch of falsified reports and data to make it look like they're doing their job when they're not. Because if they were, the Black community would actually be safe.